Welcome back to Guits. It's a pleasure that you actually spent a couple of minutes with me. And I'm equally reciprocal of that pleasure, man. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, man. I want to talk to you about those peripheral people in life, man. I'm not going to talk to you about your best friend, man. About, you know what I mean? That person you grew up with since birth, man. I want to talk about those people that are like, what happened to that guy, man? I had such a good time with him, man. Oh, what happened to that girl, man? She was so beautiful, man. I wish I had gotten to know her a little bit better. Something like that, man. One of those. I want to argue that the peripheral people play such an important part of our lives, man. I think that's the truth, man. And I want to tell you a story about my great friend, the late Mark Walsh, man. Peace with you, Mark. Love you, brother. I'll tell you a story about this. It goes back around 97, man. You know, we were musicians, you know what I mean? Mark was like, you know what I mean? He was kind of like a little bit of a guitarist, but he was more of a drummer, you know what I'm saying? And we were both amateurs, though, man. We didn't know what we were doing. And I was chilling with my boy Mark, and we were making a recording, man. And I said, you know what? I got back at my mom's house a nylon string classical guitar, man. I think that's what we need on this track, man. He's, oh, yeah. I concur, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We could just, you know what I mean? Not even recorded it, and it would sound just as good. So, you know what I mean? I didn't have a car, man. You know, he had a car. He's like, let's go there, man. You know what I mean? I never brought him home, you know what I'm saying, man? This is back in the Stone Age, man. So we went down to my mom's house, you know what I mean? It was Mark Walsh, you know, he was a good looking guy, man. We went there, and my brother was there, my mom was there. So, you know what I mean? He comes in there with some people, you know what I mean? And I showed him the classical guitar, man. He started playing it, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. You know, in front of people, you know what I mean? We had to put on a little show, man. And the only other guitar I had there was the first guitar I ever owned, man. It was this Max Tone guitar made in Taiwan, man. Earlier that year, I'd been playing on it, and like the bridge started coming up, and I had glued it down, like Elmer's glue or something like that, man. This is back in '97, man. It was a long ass time ago, man. And so it's the only other guitar, man. I want to jam, you know what I mean? My man Mark Walsh from my mom and shit, you know what I mean? So I tuned it up, you know what I mean? And we're playing and shit, girl, having a good old time, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, the bridge just flies off my guitar, man. My first guitar, man. Oh, embarrassed, man. I hurt my hand a little bit too, man. In front of everybody, man. My man Mark Walsh was more embarrassed than me, man. He's getting all sentimental about it. Oh, man, I can't believe you broke your first guitar, man. That's such a drag. And I was like, it's okay, man. We'll get through this together. You know, I was more, you know what I mean? He was more shook up about it. I was more like, you know, comforting him, man. He was a sensitive soul, man. I love you, Mark Walsh. Like I said, man. So a couple months later, you know what I mean? Weeks later, whatever, man. Months, weeks, it all goes by so quickly in life. You know what I mean? We were up in Red Bank. There were a couple music stores up around Mom Street there, man. We went around. They're like high school kids working these places, man. I was like, do you have like an acoustic guitar bridge? You know what I mean? A replacement bridge, you know? It snapped off, or broken half, blah, blah. Like, we don't know what you're talking about, man. We got like strings and like picks and like, you know what I mean? There's a couple girls walking by that way. We don't know anything about guitar. It wasn't a good scene, man. Was a good scene, but I was a researcher my whole life, man. So I went to the university library, man. It was actually college library. I don't know, man. It's a university now. And down in the basement of the university library, man, they had all kinds of like phone books from business directories from all over the state, man. And I photocopied all music repair and guitar, you know, builders, everything I could find has something to do with music or, you know, and guitars, whatever. I photocopied that shit, man. Now, this is back in the days, man. Some of you young kids don't know this shit, but back in the days, man, the phone company used to screw you, man. If you call somebody who's like 10 minutes away from your house, man, the phone company charges 20 cents a minute to talk to them, man. You could get like, you know what I mean, call them like 5 o'clock in the morning and it would be like, you know, 17 cents, man. But it used to rip you up, man. And I'm telling you, man, you don't know how good you have it, man. So I took these photocopy sheets back, and I, you know what I mean, brought to my mom's house like next week when I was doing my laundry, you know what I mean? And want to run up the, you know, phone bill of college, because we used to get real petty about that back in the day, man. We had no money, you know, back in college, you know what I'm saying? So I called a bunch of these places. I seen one that says Restivo guitars or something like that, man. I called this shit up, man. I was like, talking to this dude, sound like old as hell, this dude. And he's like, you know what, man? He's like, I don't really, you know what I mean, buy parts, really. I, you know, buy supplies, make parts. You know, I was like, but I kind of make my own bridges and stuff. He said, what you need, my man, is a catalog. I was like, catalog, huh? That's before eBay. You know, this was before Google, man. You know what I mean? It was a catalog, you know what I mean? I ain't got no catalog. He said, well, I have one right here on my table, man. You want to come down here? Where do you stay, man? I told him where I stayed, man. It wasn't that far. He's like, yeah, why don't you come down, man? It's my address. You know, we'll set up a time. You know, I was like, oh, cool, man. Like I said, man, I didn't have no car, man. So I see my boy Mark Walsh. I was like, hey, what's up, brother, man? I get a catalog, man. My man got a catalog to repair this shit. You know, and he's like, cool, man. You know what I mean? Mark Walsh is, a good looking guy. He's a good, cool guy, man. You know what I'm saying? So we would go down there, man. Now, this is before there was GPS, man. This is old days, like I said, dark ages of travel time, even, man. You had to get like paper road maps. This was 2 counties involved, man. He lived in Toms River, man. This dude, he's told me Toms River, the address. But back then, Toms River was known as Dover, man. We didn't know that shit, man. You know what I mean? It took us like 6 hours to get there, man. It was like a half-hour ride, man. I told this dude I'll be there at 3 o'clock. We showed up there, it was getting dark and shit, man. And he had like everything on a table. We stopped to get cigarettes. I think we stopped at a bar, to get directions, some beer. I don't know, we had a long time, man. We showed up real late. And this dude was real flustered when we finally got there, man. He was like, oh, so we came in there, man. Sorry being late. Where's that catalog, bro? You know what I mean? Give me a catalog, you know what I mean? He's like, so boys, so you guys play guitar? Like, yeah, we play guitar, you know what I mean? We seen he got all these guitars. Now, his house, like, from the outside, man, looked like a little tiny, like, you know what I mean? Like a little shoebox, man. You go in there, it was like a fucking mansion, man. Like, rooms here, rooms there, everywhere, man. Like, the workshop guitars hanging on the wall. He had, like, 3 beautiful guitars laid on this table. And he's like, I built these guitars myself, my own hands. Now, I was one of those kind of guys my whole life, don't touch merchandise, man. You break it, you buy it. You know what I mean? I wasn't there for the guitar, man. I didn't want to, you know what I mean, get involved. I just no interest. It's like a dog, showing me you're afraid, you know what I mean? It's a pounce on you, man. And so, like, he's like, I want to show you guitar, boys. And he's like, you like Brahms? My man picked up the guitar, man. He played the guitar like he was like, you know what I mean? The great guitar player. He was like, I'll tell you, Satriani, Segovia, Eddie Van Halen, all in one, man. He was crazy on this guitar, man. Crazy on this guitar. He's insane, man. I was like, I can't believe that, man. You know what I mean? I was sobbing, so I just clapped. That's all I could do, man. I clapped for the dude. And my man Mark Walsh is like, it's pretty good, man. Mind if I see that guitar maestro? And like he went and pick out of his pocket, His pick was like silence in the room. He's like, is that a pick? You know what I mean? And he's just like, now my man Mark Walsh, you know what I mean? He knew like 3 songs, man. One of them was Gallows Pole by fucking Led Zeppelin, man. That's like one of those songs. He started playing it, you know what I mean, slowly. Gallows Pole, hang man. He started playing like fucking trying to swing out the Gallows Pole, like, and I seen Dr. Restivo's face go from like at first like sympathetic, like, oh, did you write that yourself, young man, to like, careful boy, that's took me a long time. Hey, so this like, that's the devil's music, boy. Stop playing it, put it down, leave me alone, go away. You know what I mean? I can see like just the fear growing in Dr. Restivo's eyes as my man Mark Walsh was playing on it, man. And he was singing and shit, accompanying himself, banging around the guitar, scratching with the pick, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, man. You know what I mean? So after he was done playing, he put it down, you know what I mean? He actually, like, put, like, his sunglasses on, went outside and smoked a cigarette after he performs. I swear, I shit you not, man. And so my man Walsh sat there smoking a cigarette. My man, Dr. Restivo, started telling me a little bit about his life, man. He told me he was a chiropractor. He grew up in Newark. You know what I'm saying? That he started building guitars in 1969, and he had planned on making only 69 guitars. I don't know what it is about Italians and the number 69, man. You ever see the guy Davey 407, whatever his name is? Everybody sees the bass dude, man. I slap it. That dude, man. He's always talking about 69 too, man. 69 is like a magical number for the Italian people, man. It's like the secret trip, man. So, man, he says he was up to like 55, 56 right about that time, he told us. And he's like, you guys can be like 57, 58 if you want. You know what I mean? I'll build you both guitars. We're like, looking at each other, you know what I mean? It was like $850. Like, what was $850? I was like, thank you, Dr. Restivo, for the catalog, man. It's nice to meet you. You know what I mean? Go to bed. My man Walsh like, yeah, likewise, man. We'll get out together. We'll jam. We left, man. And on the way home, my man Walsh looked at me. He's like, I rocked that Led Zeppelin piece, didn't I? I was like, absolutely, brother. And he did. You know what I mean? Anyway, man. So this Dr. Restivo, man, it's true, man. You know what I mean? He was like one of those like classical guitarists that's like underappreciated, unknown about, man. You know what I'm saying? Like for every like great luthier, you know what I mean? Like Dr. Patillo, Orville Gibson, you know what I mean? We can go back to Stradivarius even. Speaking of paisans, you know what I'm saying, man? For every great, noted string maker, you know what I mean? There's always like 20, 30 people that go off the radar, man. And Dr. Restivo, he wasn't, you know what I mean, a famous guitar builder, but he was a pretty well-noted, like, classical guitar player. After the service, the Second World War, he joined the Albert Guitar Quartet, they were playing songs made by this, I believe his name was Franz or Hans Albert. He was like a famous German, like, guitar quartet composer. And he was like writing them songs, you know what I mean, from Germany or something like that, and sending them. They were playing them, going around touring, playing them. And my man, Dr. Restivo, was a member of that quartet. But after after Albert died, 1950, Dr. Restivo, he went back to college, you know what I mean? He learned, actually went to, chiropractic school, man. You know what I mean? He got his degree as chiropractor. And he started teaching on the side, students that play guitar. Right around, 1967, you know what I mean? A local guy, you know what I mean? Showed him some handmade guitars. These are amazing. He's a real smart guy, Dr. Restivo, man. You know what I mean? He got into building them himself. And I got all kinds of information for you. I'm going to show you some shit, man. You know me, man. I got all kinds of evidence, man. So, basically, the 15 minutes of fame that Dr. Restivo had in his true calling, his professional chiropractor, and you can't make this shit up, man. There was this dog, right? They got hit by a car, 1962 or some shit like that, man. And the dog came back home and there was blood coming out of his mouth and shit. And it was paralyzed on one side, man. His eyes were closed on one side, his limping, only one side could move, man. And the good doctor found out about this shit. He's like, hey, wait. And they were waiting for the dog to die, man. You know what I mean? He's like, Dr. Restivo went over, right? And he said, I'm a chiropractor. I can save his dog's life. I know what's wrong with it. And he went, and he took the dog by the neck, and he adjusted his neck, man. The dog started to snap back to life. He was regular Rin Tin Tin, man. Dog was regular again. Dog is still alive, man. I swear to God. The dog's 216 years old, man. Abraham Lincoln's dog. Listen to me, man. That was just 15 minutes. You can't make that shit up. That happened back in 1962. But around that time, you know what I mean, he moved to Matawan, New Jersey. He set up his little chiropractic care place there. In 82, I think he moved down to Tom's River after he retired. You know what I'm saying? But he still kept making guitars, man, up until number 69. He told everybody about that 69, man. And over the years, I've seen a whole bunch of things, little pieces about these Restivo guitars. I look at guitars all day long, people. All day long, I'm looking at guitars on the internet, man. And here and there, I've come across his name, man. I never, met him or hung out with him again after that one time, man. But, it was a kindred moment, man. And it was definitely awesome. So, I'm going to show you some pictures, people. You know what I mean? I hope that you enjoy the trip, man. Let's go down memory lane, celebrate the life of Dr. Restivo. This guitar right here, man, this last guitar that Dr. Restivo ever made, man. Ever made. And it's not number 69, people. Not number 69. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy, man? He betrayed the law of 69. I'm going to talk about this guitar. I'm talking about stuff. I'm going to show you some pictures right now. I'm going to flip you around. We'll have a good time, man. Peace. Good people, the internet, man. My friend Dr. Restivo, man. This is pretty much what he looked like when I met him. You know what I mean? He looked like, he's my grandfather's generation. The World War II generation. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly how he looked when I met him. And it kind of looks like when he was giving us a performance, he looked very grandfatherly, like his shirt was all tucked in, and he started playing the guitar. And by the end of his little performance, his shirt was all untucked and shit. His hair was all unroused and crazy. You know what I mean? He really put his whole heart and soul in that little impromptu performance for me and my friend Mark Walsh, man. And I believe this is the very guitar that he played on. And this is the same guitar, in turn, that my friend Mark Walsh jammed the Gallows Pole on, man. This very same guitar, man. He always had the 3 guitars about him that he built himself. His latest 3. And then he and he built better ones to replace them and sell off the old ones. That was his deal, man. These are the 3 guitars that I believe I saw laid out on his table down here in Tom's River when I met him, man. So, I really want to, again, thank his family for providing me these pictures, keeping his memory alive, man. They're wonderful people, man. Invited me into their home and, let me acquire some, dear personal possessions of Dr. Restivo. You know what I'm saying? Wonderful people. So, anyhow, another thing I want to point out to you about this particular photograph here, when I met Dr. Restivo, that I noticed on all of his own personal guitars, right? He had a little piece of boot string, strung into the headstock there. I always thought that was a cool idea, He's like, yeah, just hang them up, it's good to hang a guitar from its headstock, and that's why I hang my guitars, from their headstocks, really. The good doctor recommended that to me back in the day, man, back in 97, 98, whenever it was, man. So, another thing about Dr. Restivo and his guitars that I want to point out to you all is a sort of cresting sort of extension over the sound hole. You know what I mean? That's another thing that you see on a lot of guitars. Not all of them, but a lot of them. You know what I mean? So this picture, you know what I mean, saying like early mid '90s probably. You know what I mean? Shows Dr. Restivo, you know what I mean, in his element. Now I told you that he learned from a guy, a local guy. This newspaper article is from 1965. People, it's about this fella named is Al Larson of Atlantic Highlands, and it says he makes classic guitars in his basement workshop. We all know about that, man. Using designs made by master luthiers in the 1700s, man. You know, his idea was you couldn't get a big sound out of a little box. You know what I mean? And it says right in here, he was a boat builder. You know what I mean? Actually owned a tavern up in Atlantic Highlands. He was, you know, a guitar player, singer. You know what I mean? You know, an entertainer. You know what I mean? Had a little bit of money. You know, he was building all them boats, turning to guitars. And it says down here, if you read the article, I don't know, you can really, you know what I mean? See here, it talks about my man Restivo. Here it says the idea is working out. He said A.P. Restivo of Matawan, nationally known classic guitarist and teacher, recently tried out one of his guitars. He was impressed, Mr. Larson said. As a matter of fact, he asked to borrow the guitar again later. You know what I'm saying, man? So Restivo seen this, he's like, damn, I could do this. This is in 65, right? Just a couple years before he started doing it in 69, right? And it says up here, another thing that I should have mentioned this fella's name when I did that little episode about scale. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. I know the quality of some of these newspaper things doesn't save that well, man. He talks about Werkmeister, man, 18th century German mathematician, who came up with the different, like, you know what I mean, scale formulas, man. That's important, man. You know what I mean? Another thing that's cool about this, he says, no two are alike. It says it right here. It says, each instrument is unique, right? And that's another thing that Dr. Restivo sort of internalized when he started making his own instruments, man. When he started doing it. So this is, you know, a photo provided by the Restivo family to me. This is what a typical, you know, Restivo guitar looks like. You know what I mean? Kind of based on a classical guitar. You know what I mean? It's got that extension over the fingerboard. It's got this, you know what I mean, elongated top of the headstock. You can see Dr. Restivo has his little bootstrap in there. You know what I mean? That's what you look for, man. That's what you look for. Now, he started in 69. I've told you about that. Hey, the 69, the number is 69. Very important to the Italian people. This is when he first got, you know what I mean, crazy about the action. This is an early 70s picture, you know what I mean, of his workshop, you know what I mean, when he was up in Matawan still. You know what I mean? You see, he's got all kinds of guitars in process at this point. This is when he just started, man. He was getting guitar crazy. And you can see a lot of them have that cresting sort of, you know what I mean? Let me see if I zoom in on this, man. I want to just give you a little bit of a pan shot of these beautiful guitars because this is a high quality photograph, man. You know what I'm saying? Look at them. Pretty maids in a row. And they all, you know what I mean, have different sort of features, sizes and stuff, you know what I mean? And you can see on these finished ones, right, they got the little piece of boots, you know what I mean? The three finished ones, there's just three, right? That are, you know what I mean? The current ones, you know what I mean? This one might even have them too. But they got the little bootstrap in there, man. Back in the 70s, man. And they got the little cresting, you know what I'm saying? Most of them do. So, you know what I mean? This took over his life, man. It was his true passion, his daughter told me. It was his true, the guitar, man. It was his true passion. Don't I know that, man? Don't I know that? You know what I mean? By like 76, you know what I mean? He gave up the chiropractic practice, really went into semi-retirement. Another guy came in, you know, even though it was attached to his own residence, you know, another doctor came in and started doing it. He just pretty much hung out in his basement, man, working on his guitars, man. You know what I mean? Here's an article right around that time. You know what I mean? There's more to guitar. I can't really see these. There he is. He's teaching a little seminar, Monmouth, Classical Guitar Society, and how to build guitars. You know what I mean? He was also involved with the Monmouth Conservatory of Music. You know what I mean? As Dr. Steve, I'd zoom in on this, but you know these old newsprint don't really come up very good. Right? But there he is, man, showing, you know, he had a guitar building workshop. You know what I'm saying? This is a little excerpt from the 1981 catalog of musical instrument builders. You know what I'm saying? Just a little snapshot. And this is from 1980. It says he was inactive. He pretty much retired, he said. And by October 1974, he built between 1 and 10 guitars to date, and in part-time since 1969. This is when he's still up in Matawan, Aberdeen. You know what I mean? So by 1974, he probably had about 10 guitars built, you know, between 1 and 10. And we just saw that picture from the early 70s. So he's definitely, you know what I mean, up at it, you know what I mean? Up around that number of 10. You know what I mean? It says he stopped really doing it by 1980. You know, but you got to remember he was starting, you know what I mean? He was deep in retirement at this point. He's starting to think of selling his house. You know what I mean? A lot of life changes for my man, Dr. Restivo, at that time. So that's probably why he wasn't really making too many guitars in 1980 when this was actually published. You know what I mean? I just want to show you this. This is from YouTube. A guy that actually restored it. There's not too much stuff on there. And he put a little video of himself, you know what I mean, for a reverb listing after he restored it, he sold it. And he's like, go check out this video of me playing it. Another guy, he commented, oh, that's a nice guitar. You know, I got number 32 of the 69 he made. So, you know what I mean, that 69 number, everybody knew about that. I just wanted to zoom in on that, man. I want you to see that 69. I wouldn't lie about 69, man. You know what I'm saying? See that? I had number 32 of 69 that he made. So, you know, and this was dated 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Mathematically, in 2015, Dr. Restivo passed in 2009. So that number was still already in the guitar community, that 69, man. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get into 69, man. We all want to talk about 69. So, after Dr. Restivo, like I said, he died in 2009. After the smoke settled, cleared, and everything. I actually saw a Craigslist listing a couple years after he passed. You know what I mean? Mentioning, you know, a handmade guitar. I saw it. I was like, this is Dr. Restivo's handiwork. You know what I mean? And I contacted, you know, the seller. You know, and I said, and he explained, yes, Dr. Restivo is my father-in-law. I got some handmade instruments. Come up, pick one you want. You know what I mean? The price was extremely low. I was like, wow. You know what I mean? So these were the 3 guitars he laid out. You know what I mean? These were the Dr. Restivo's last guitars. Now, you know what I mean? I was looking at them. These 2 on the end were obviously guitars that he'd been using, that were finished. You know what I mean? They were done. And they were ready to go. Now, his son-in-law commented to me this one only had like 2 strings on the outside of it. And he had to put 2 strings in the middle. And he said he used, you see, I'm sorry, I had to use, you know, use strings from Dr. Restivo's workshop, you know what I mean? String this up, you know what I mean? Because it was the last guitar he was building, you know what I mean? I was like, really? And it turns out that Dr. Restivo, you know what I mean, before he passed, 2009, he was aware that the 40th anniversary of his guitar building, you know what I mean, epic, you know what I mean, so to speak, for lack of better words, was, you know what I mean, it was there, you know what I mean, so he decided to come out of retirement and build 2 guitars. He was 92 years old at the time, man. 92 years old at the time. And he built 2 guitars. Now, I'm going to explain to you. You know what I mean? I'm going to explain a little bit, man. So, this guitar right here, I took a photograph, you know what I mean, of the label. That was number 55. That's probably his favorite guitar that he built up to that point, you know what I mean? And his traditional guitar, that was probably his go-to. You know what I mean? And then, this guitar here, which, you know, this is a beautiful guitar and everything. It's very well done. Roundover was done great. You know what I mean? It had a beautiful rosette. And you take a look at that rosette, man. You know what I mean? Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But it was like a generic guitar. It was done too, like, you know what I mean? I mean, it was a beautiful instrument. It played better. But this is just, I was like, this is the guitar I want. You know, so, you know what I mean? And that was actually guitar number 66. You know what I mean? It was just so different, and it was so well done, and it had a real, let's see if I can zoom in a little tiny bit on this, man. That was number 66, man. You know, and it had a real sort of, you know what I mean, beautiful, intricate rosette. The roundover was great on it, you know what I mean? But the one thing I didn't like, man, is that it had like a 0 fret on it, man. I hate 0 frets, and it had a weird buzz on the little E string, man. And I didn't like that, man. You know what I'm saying? It just... yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you know what I mean? I turned my attention to the guy in the middle, you know what I mean, who seemed like he was undone. So I took a look inside of his hole, you know what I mean, knowing the 69 story as I did, right from Dr. Restivo's own mouth, you know what I'm saying? And I looked in his hole, and I saw number 71, man. I was like, what? That's 69 plus 2. So this was the last guitar he ever made, man. Checkmate! Guitar owner 69, guitar owner 70. Right? This is it, man. And when he said that he had to put the 2 strings in the middle of it, I knew what you know what I mean, his son-in-law was talking about. That he was just, you know what I mean, getting that nut set. And he was just getting, you know what I mean, the saddle set. Because the nut was real high. You know what I mean? Having set up a whole bunch of guitars, you know, put together the guitars, not at the level of Dr. Restivo. You know, as you see on his label, he uses his Italian spelling of his name, man. Signs each label. You know what I'm saying? No two quite alike. You know what I mean? So number 71 Seal is his last guitar ever built. You know what I mean? I thanked, you know what I mean, his son-in-law. I thanked his daughter so much for inviting me over. I played all the guitars. This was one for me, man. You know what I mean? The only thing he was missing, had no round over. You know what I mean? Because he was 92 when he built the guitar. Remember that? You know what I'm saying? He was a very, very advanced old man. You know what I'm saying? So these are pictures when I first got it. As you can see, absolutely no round over. 92-year-old man doing a round over is real hard. You know what I'm saying? That's a tough job. But he did totally, as you can see in this one without the flash, he totally leveled all the frets. They were all level and straight. You know what I mean? No leveling needed to be done when I got this guitar. Thank you, Dr. Restivo. He did put a lot of heart into it, even at advanced old age. And you can see here, straight, you know, all straight level. But there's no round over. These are like tetanus waiting to happen, man. Tetanus waiting to happen. You know, so but you can see that on these little strings here, you know what I mean, that he had been playing on it at one point, you know, trying to, you know what I mean, just fiddle around on the two strings that he had. Because you could see there was a little bit of like mold from like grease from his hands. You know what I'm saying? You could tell when somebody's been playing a guitar. You know what I mean? Even a little bit. So yeah, I can see Dr. Steve had to have messing around with this. This is his last little labor of love, man. He was trying to perfect that other guitar. You know, because that buzzing, you know what I mean? He's trying to perfect this guitar. He probably loved it. But he probably didn't like the zero fret himself. You know what I mean? So he's trying to maybe, you know what I mean? That's what my theory is, anyhow. So, you know what I'm saying? Another thing about it, had big cracks in it, man. You can see here, level these frets. Cracks going up the rosewood. I don't know if this happened from, you know, just being stored after he passed. You know what I mean? Then you can see this one running all the way up. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on that. Yeah, these photographs aren't really that great. I apologize. But I filled this in, you know what I mean, when I got it, you know, I put it in a little bit of crazy glue, a little bit of rosewood powder. Just a little bit, you know, you still see the crack a little bit on it. But, you know what I mean, it was kind of bothersome when you're playing, you know what I mean, around those frets and at that, you know what I mean, grade, you know what I'm saying, you could feel it. So I fixed that, you know, I gave it a beautiful round over, man. I was very conscientious. I didn't take off the strings, the Dr. Restivo, you know, put on the guitar. I left them on there. You know what I'm saying? I put a little, when I was doing the, you know, got the strings aside. So I have respect for him, you know. I wanted to keep his little mark. You know what I mean? Because he's a great man, you know. I even, his little bootstrap thing, I didn't even unscrew it, man. I didn't untie it at all. His original knot is in his little bootstrap, you know what I mean, hook that he was so well known for, you know what I mean? That's his thing. And all I did was, even this, where he did the tie around, you know, those little strings on the classical guitar where you tie around, I didn't even take those strings off. So I wanted to keep his original knot in those strings. I'm a sentimental guy too, man. So these are all the master strings on the master's guitar, man. You know what I'm saying? God bless you, Dr. Restivo. Let's take a good look at your guitar, my man. Let's take a better look at it. That's the money shot, man. That's the title shot, man. Number 71, people. No two quite alike. Andrew P. Restivo, Guitar Master. His last final masterpiece. This comes after a culmination. Now, he mastered guitar at the age of 12. He said he was already a virtuoso, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's a total of 80 years as a virtuoso guitar player. Expert skill level, you know what I mean? Above Hendrix. I'm telling you, man. Segovia, bro. That's all I can say, man. And 40 years of, you know what I mean, building solid quality instruments, man. Little green accents, man, in this beautiful rosette, man. Look at it on that little binding, man. That little piece of green wood that runs around here, man. What a masterful instrument, man. I got it home. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, I did a great round over on it, man. I spent quite a few days getting that round over. You know what I mean? Perfect. I mean, look at these are the strings. These two outer strings Dr. Restivo put on here. This one his son-in-law put on from his workshop, and this one as well, but I retied it. I'm a sentimental guy, man. You know what I'm saying? I basically clean it with furniture polish when I first got it. Threw some cleaner wax on there, some butcher's wax, you know, just to seal it, you know what I'm saying? Then I got out some mineral oil and I oiled, you know, sanded it, you know what I mean, from 1,000, 3,000, just to give it a real nice matte sort of, just to seal it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because there were a couple of nicks and stuff, and it had been, you know what I mean, sitting. You can see here, he'd been sitting on something, you know what I mean? His health wasn't good in those farms. That 92, you know what I mean? He eventually ended up in a nursing home, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, while he was still home in the workshop, man, he did all he could, man, on these guitars, and he finished it, man. You know what I mean? This is the final masterpiece, man. Looks like he's using jacaranda rosa wood from deep inside the rainforest. Looks like that, man. Doesn't it? On the back and the sides. It looks like that this is rock maple, this little heel here. Mahogany. With a nice dark Brazilian rosewood veneer on the front of the headstock. Grade A choice, you know what I mean? Brazilian rosewood fretboard. You can't even see that repair, really. You know what I mean? You can if you really look. But it looks great, man. So this is it, man. You know what I'm saying? Look inside here. Look at that perfing, you know what I mean, that's done around the edge there, man. Just like my man Amanta did that. A little bit more Spartan, but that's a sign of, like, you know what I mean, someone who's looking for true sonal bliss, man. You know what I'm saying? They're little individual blocks, man. It looks like it's like some kind of piece of wood cut, funny no, man. Those are individual little blocks, man. You know what I mean? Stuffed in there, wedged in there to keep it, you know what I mean, tight, solid. You know what I'm saying, man? Masterful. You know what I'm saying? This might not be a Stradivarius, but you know what I mean? Sound quality wise, this is a gorgeous instrument. Made by a master, you know what I mean? At the zenith, you know what I mean? The end, man, after he had all the knowledge, man. After the memory was almost full, man. You know what I mean? All was done by him. He turned this, you know what I mean? Bridge piece himself. You know what I mean? I lowered the action a little bit on it too, by the way. You know, he had a high action on his guitars, man. He's a classical guy, man. He was slapping it. Slap, slap, slap. He was, man. He was slapping it good, man. So speaking of slapping, man, there's only one more thing that we really need to talk about, man. And that's this, man. Look at these tuners here, man. You know what I mean? They're definitely... This guitar was certainly made out of, you know what I mean, bottom of the barrel. This looks like probably a shipment of tuners he got in 69. One of the tuning pegs is a little bent, and I can see some hairline cracks. And some is like early baked light, sort of, you know what I mean? See that right there? Those little post surrounds, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? He probably threw them on, figuring this is it, man. I'm not going to go buy a new set, man. Number 71, sometimes 69. Right? So, that's the final thing we got to talk about, 69, man. Right at 420. Peace. Now, let's talk a little bit more seriously about this number 69, man, and the significance, the attraction to the Paisans of 69. Now, first off, I want to talk about Davey 405, man, 504. Sorry, Davey 504, man. I want to say to you, man, I challenge you to come on my show, man. I invite you as my guest, man. If you come on my show, man, and play bass, 4-string bass, man. I got a million basses, man. Hundreds of basses, man. You play bass behind my featured guitar, any one of my shows, man, that I'm filming. I'm only filming one show, man. One time, man. I want you to talk about it on your own show, too, man. And I'll give you this bass, man. I will hand this bass to you, man. You take it with you, man. This is the 66 that we made together, man. This is yours, Davey 405. You come on this show, man. And that don't mean you can film something in your little apartment there in Taiwan, bro. I want you to come on my show, man, physically. You wait till coronavirus is done, man. You know what I mean? Just leave a comment, man. That shit will get me set for life, man. I have more subscribers than Donald Trump, man. I'll be rocking and rolling, man. We want one guest appearance on my show, man. We'll do 69 right, man. Now listen to me, man. I want to tell you another thing about 69, man. My brother Ronnie, man, lead singer of the Derelicts, he was also a Paisan, man. Paisan, without a doubt. And he was always talking about 69 too, man. We wrote a song about it. You know what I mean? It's on Modest Man is the name of it. It's on Electronic Noise, man. Where's Bond it is, man. And he always used to say his big phrase, Ronnie. He's like, He's like, I love 69. 69 is divine. 69 is only trumped by 71. 71 is 69 and 2 fingers. Guess where them 2 fingers go, man? Just think about it, man. Listen to me, man. When I was thinking about that, did he come up with that shit? Because like 69 was supposed to be divine with my man Dr. Restivo, but he went to 71. Here's a little piece of that Derelict's piece, man. Hit it, Ronnie. Hit it, Ronnie. Electronic noise.
I'm a modest man. Catch me if you can.
I said modest, I had to say Superman.
I'm a modest man.
Beautiful. Modest man. You got me. Who's got you? I'm a modest man. What you learn in school? Well, the real meaning of 69. Sometimes it equals 71. Gotta keep it clean now. I'm honestly drowning in here. Tell you to stop. Smile. It takes skin time for nothing, man. I gotta learn not to drown. The word of a modest man. Modest man. Bet you can't catch me. 'Cause I'm a modest man. Being modest. Only to a certain degree, you know. Modest man. Modest. I'm a modest man.
That is called electronic noise.
So there it is, man. Some epic bass from my man Bass Mark. You know what I'm saying? The true meaning of 69 sometimes equals 71. Right? Gotta keep it clean now. So, what's left, man? We've already challenged Davey 504 to come on the show. We've talked about the epic bass. We've talked about 69 equals 71, man. I think that we should visit our friend Dr. Restivo. He's just an hour up the parkway, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to reunite him, you know what I mean, with his beautiful instrument that's afforded me so much pleasure in my life. And I want to visit him. You know what I mean? I want to say hello to him and just, you know what I mean? So I'm going to play a little bit of Italian travel music. I got some new technology I want to bust out, and you guys be real proud of me, man. So hopefully this is gonna go as planned, man. Let's take a little ride up the parkway, man. I'm gonna play you out.
On the road again. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on a Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with songs and let me sing forevermore. You are my love, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. In other words, please be true.
The sign on the gate says that they've closed the cemetery due to social distancing concerns. Isn't that crazy? I'd definitely be 6 feet away from my man, the good doctor. Well, rest in peace, Dr. Restivo. Peace.
So Number 71 story arc was foiled by coronavirus paranoia, people. Hey, man. The basic idea was going to be I was going to go up there, a la Cousin Carl, you know what I mean, and serenade Dr. Restivo. I was going to, go up there and make a big speech about how he inspired me to learn classical guitar, you know what I mean, on top of, building guitars and shit like that. And then I was going to play Gallows Pole, you know what I mean, all crazy with the pick. But, you know what I mean. Anyway, I did say a prayer for you, Dr. Restivo. You heard me from the parking lot, man. Rest in peace, brother, man. I'm glad you didn't have to see all this coronavirus shit, man. So I'm not going to play Gallows Pole now with a pick, man. Because, I already ruined the whole story. So I'm just going to play you something, man, from the heart, man. This is a song that I wrote with my man Johnny Blade wrote the music. I wrote the lyrics. My brother Ricky D, he sang it on the record. He had the most beautiful voice and the most beautiful, singer, most talented out of all of us. So he got to sing it, man. But I always loved this song. God bless you, Johnny Blade, Dr. Restivo, Ricky D, man. This song's called Christine, man. I don't think I ever sang this before, so I don't know if I played it in 15 years, so.
Yes, indeed. Do you feel the same, Christine? You say I think too much. I think 'cause life is always rough, but I'm still hanging tough, Christine. I just expected to get this connected to Christine. Nobody, Christine, will love me. I'll try and I'll wait and I'll try and I'll try.
God bless you, Ricky D. You know what I mean? Johnny Blade. All my boys. Bass Mark. Davey 405, man. Dr. Restivo. Number 71. Peace be with you, buddy. Wash your hands, everybody. You know what I mean? Please. Remember, 69 can sometimes equal 71. 2 fingers.